If you're looking for life-changing and mind-blowing books to read, don't wait any longer. In this video, I'll show you 7 books that revolutionized my life, and if you read them, they'll revolutionize yours too. After reading more than 250 books in the course of 7 years, I found 7 that I can say were the ones that made the most impact in my life. They changed the way I live, my priorities and objectives, what I thought it was possible, and made me question and explore subjects that blew my mind and stimulated my brain immensely. Some of them are popular bestsellers that mostly everyone knows, but a few others are true gems that are not widely known and are very difficult to find, so I recommend you stay till the very end. The list is pretty varied. It includes books about personal development, psychology, philosophy, career development, life purpose, and a bit of spirituality, so you'll sure find a couple of them interesting. So without further ado, let's get started. The first book in the list is called So Good They Can Ignore You by Cal Newport. After interviewing very successful people in different industries, Newport discovered that if you want to build a successful and fulfilling career, finding and following your passion is a very bad advice. People that start with their passion usually end up disappointed and quit because they lack the skills needed to be successful and provide value that can be monetized. So what you should do instead is trying to become very good, even the best, in your industry or job, no matter if you're passionate about it or not. Once you become very good, passion will be a side effect. In other words, skill comes first, passion then follows. I love this book because it literally flies in the face of the so common self-help advice of follow your passion and the universe will align to make you successful. On the contrary, the advice is very down to earth and it's full of practical tips that I've implemented in the past few years. Concepts like mastery, deliberate practice, and career capital are all very important when it comes to developing a successful and fulfilling career. No matter if you're 17 or 40, this book will revolutionize the way you think about passion, success, and especially your career. The next book is called The Book of Not Knowing by Peter Ralston, and it's, in my opinion, the most important book I ever read and that everyone should read at some point in their lives. The author was the first non-Asian ever to win the martial arts world championship and spent years studying and contemplating the human mind and life, so he knows what he's talking about. Mostly everyone is familiar with the phrase, life doesn't come with a manual. Well, this book is as close as a life manual as it can get. It goes through subjects like emotions, mind, happiness, why we behave and act the way we do, what is a self, what is discipline, freedom, beliefs, and much more. Each chapter is full of wisdom and teaches you something new that, if applied, can literally change your life in one swoop. And I'm not exaggerating. Also, if you're interested in spirituality, this is a great way to start. If you check this video I made in the past, you will discover that what I completely hate about the so-called spiritual teachers and the spiritual industry in general is that they want you to believe in something, whether that's reincarnation, energy, or what have you. Ralston does the exact opposite. It introduces topics like enlightenment, consciousness, and being in a very rational way that doesn't push you to believe stuff. On the contrary, he asks you not to believe anything he says and to experience it firsthand, and I love that. So I cannot recommend this book enough. It's honestly the book that had the most impact in my life, and I'm sure you'll love it too. The third book on the list is called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I read this one in my last year of college and the timing could have not been better. Ferriss introduced in my life an idea that I still have present in my mind: lifestyle design. Basically, he proposes that the conventional life that most of us live, the 9-to-5 job, the routine, and the fixed place, is not for everyone. And if you make the commitment, you can design a life that fits your needs and desires and not the other way around. And I know that the title of the book is a little bit clickbaity, but it opened my mind to the possibility of creating a business that provided me the financial stability without the need of working tirelessly. And at that time, that was huge. And if you want to do it yourself, there's a step-by-step guide to build that system, which I review from time to time to refresh it. Of course, the book makes this process sound easy and straightforward, but reality is always more complicated. But no matter if it's easy or hard, just the mere fact of reading that there are people out there doing it successfully and living life in their terms is very encouraging and motivating. The fourth book on the list is not very popular, but it's a true masterpiece. It's called Sex, Ecology, Spirituality by Ken Wilber, one of the most brilliant philosophers of our times. Don't ask me how a 20-year-old Argentinian college student ended up reading this book 6 years ago, but I'm glad I had stumbled upon it. In it, Wilbur attempts to build a theory that explains all of reality and tries to connect different fields like biology, psychology, physics, sociology, history, and spirituality in a cohesive framework. And even though there are not many practical tips to implement, it completely changed how I look at the universe and my life. It provided me a new and fulfilling sense of purpose, and in a way, it helped me locate myself in the bigger scheme of things. I've also learned a very interesting framework called the 4 quadrants that I apply to many things in my life, from my marketing campaigns to life decisions or just to understand some subjects better. And similarly to the Book of Not Knowing, it speaks about spirituality in a very scientific and rational way, which was very illuminating for me at that time. This next book occupies a very special place in my heart since it was the first personal development book I've ever read. It is Awaken, the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. If I remember correctly, I read this book when I was 18 and I literally knew nothing about psychology and self-help. So imagine my enthusiasm when I discovered that I had the power to change myself and create a life that fulfilled me. I remember that I felt a whole new world open in front of my very eyes. If you read a lot of self-help books already, you'll probably find ideas you're familiar with. But if you're new to the field, this book will be a game changer. In my case, the main thing that I learned and still with me today is that humans are motivated by only 2 factors: to avoid pain or to gain pleasure. If I engage on something that's not really healthy for me, let's say smoke or being shy, but I keep doing it means that there's something that I'm gaining from that behavior, whether that's some emotional release or not letting myself show up and being seen. It follows that if I actually want to stop doing it, I should increase the amount of pain that the activity produces, and this logic can be applied to anything that I want to change about myself. There are a lot more interesting concepts in this book that I cannot go through in this video, but I highly suggest checking it out for yourself. The next book on the list can be hard to digest, or at least it was my experience. It's called Radical Honesty and it's written by a psychotherapist called Brad Blanton. He argues that the main reason why humans suffer and are stressed is because we are constantly lying. The lying he talks about is not just the blatant ones, it's also the withholding of information, the white lies and the secret keeping. And we don't just lie to others, we also lie to ourselves. He proposes that the only way to free ourselves from this mind prison is to start telling the truth to others and most importantly to ourselves. Even though it was not as pleasant as reading a sci-fi book, it challenged me to truly start being honest, and I can tell you that although it's not an easy endeavor, it's 100% worth it. By putting into practice what I've read, I noticed how much I was lying, and not in obvious ways, but subtly. And when I started telling the truth more and more, I felt lighter and my sense of being freer. There are definitely some benefits in lying, but I believe that there's much more to lose when we are not honest. And this book illustrates this perfectly, and I fully recommend it. The last book on the list is my second favorite book of all time, and it's called Godel, Escher, Bach by my favorite non-fiction writer, Douglas Hofstadter. Even though it's very entertaining to read if you like philosophy, it took me more than 2 months to finish it. This Pulitzer Prize winner is a 650-page investigation into the nature of life and the I. And to aid him, Hofstadter uses concepts and ideas from Godel's incompleteness theorems, Escher's paintings, and Bach's musical compositions. This guy is a true polymath and one of my intellectual idols. The way he expresses his ideas, utilizes analogies, and connects different fields is, at least for me, outstanding. This book didn't change my life in a practical way. I didn't learn a new marketing formula or an innovative visualization that I can implement, but it has affected me deeply on a different level. First, reading this book ignited a curiosity in me that I never imagined I possessed. From one day to the other, I wanted to learn a new language, programming, music theory, number theory, art, and much more. Hofstadter's love of learning and even life in general is evident in each and every page, and extremely contagious. In fact, I cannot wait to forget it and read it all over again. So that's it, the 7 books that transformed my life forever. Even though some of them are not the common self-help and success books, I think that they are very important and relevant, and perhaps even more relevant than the practical ones. If you like this video, I highly suggest you check out my brand new product, the Sages Booklist. After the success of the Reading a Book a Week video, many of you asked for my book list, so I made one with 170 books, ranked and reviewed in more than 15 categories. You're also invited to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and share it with a friend who might need some inspiration. See you soon.